Well, hello there and welcome back to Mordheim. In today's video I wanted to give you some tips and tricks for the game. No matter if you are an advanced player that has already leveled quite a few warbands or if you're new to the game altogether. Some of these will always be important and you should keep these things in mind since they will really help you get your warband started. So, let's get right into it. The first thing I wanted to mention here is something that is very important right from the start when you start your warband. That is choosing a path for your warriors. What do I mean by that? Look at the stats of your warriors and decide quite early what you want to do with them. Because you're gonna be spending points from the point where you do your first mission. And each of these points can be quite important later in the game, when you spend it on something you don't really need. Maybe you want to get that really cool skill that you have upgraded, but you can't. Because you already put all your points into something different. And now you don't have any points left and you just can't get it. For example, take for my leader here. If I want to get sidestep rank 2, I have to get 15 agility. And I do want sidestep rank 2 because it gives me another dodge chance. Same would be for, where is it? Prowl, which is also really nice. But still, I need 15 agility to get the second rank of that, and I do want the second rank of that. Because it gives me even more dodge chance on after my ambush, which is really important. Also, look at the stat line your warrior can have. For this one, he has up to 16 weapon skill and 16 accuracy, only 12 ballistic skill. So he could be quite easily played as a melee crit heavy warrior, which is what I'm doing. But still, I'm thinking what I'm doing. I do want to get some things like Art of the Silent Death too, so I need to get accuracy up to rank 9. But I want to get some weapon skill early first, so I can get my melee hit chance up, so I can actually hit something. Because I first need to hit them before I can crit them, right? But still, I will quite soon get Death rank 9, so I can actually upgrade this. If we now look at another warrior, for example, my Night Runner. He has a much higher ballistic skill than he has weapon skill. His accuracy is still high, so you will still get decent crit of him, but he can be played as a melee hero, but I prefer him as a ranged unit, simply because his ballistic skill is higher than his weapon skill. Also, he has only 10 strength, so he won't really hit that hard, even if he crits. That's another point. Think about what your stats are actually doing for you. To play someone with only 10 strength with a melee hero is not that great, simply because you only can get so much melee damage onto him. So it will quite limit your damage potential. Took back a look at him, he also has only 10 strength, but his weapon skill is higher. So at least, and his accuracy is higher, so at least he has a better crit chance. Skaven in general don't have that much strength. The only exception of your Black Skaven, who have up to 15 strength, which is almost 50%, which is 50% more than your leader and your Night Runner. So you definitely want to play him as a melee hero and give him a lot of strength, not so much agility, which his dodge chance is going to be lower, but since you're going to put so much into weapon skill and strength, you still have a nice parry chance later in the game. And he's a Skaven, so he still has enough dodge chance early game. Also, his toughness is really nice, so maybe you don't want to put points in agility at all, just put up a strength toughness to make him a big melee brawler. Or look at this guy. His ballistic skill is even higher than the Night Runner, and his accuracy is also even higher, so he will definitely be played as a ranged unit. But also have your skills in mind. Lots of units, at least the DLC units, and all the faction units have special skills that others don't have. In his case, he has these globes. And one of the reasons why I'm called a medic, and already said my let's play that he's going to be more of a support unit, he has Infused Globe, which is one of the few actual healing spells in this game. Only Sisters of Sigma have another healing spell that is AoE, which makes this really powerful. 15 HP maybe doesn't sound like much, but if you get it on multiple people 2 times in a turn and you upgrade it to 30, that's a few hundred wounds restored every turn. So this is quite powerful. So as you can see, I already have planned out with most of our warriors what I want to do with them, which is quite important in this game, because like I said, if I would have ended with him only having 14 agility and then he reaches level 10, and I'm sitting there, yeah, I have strength maxed out and a bit of toughness, but oh wait, I needed 15 agility for this. Now I can't get my sidestep up, which would be a real handicap late game, because if you can dodge 2 abilities or only 3, can be quite the difference, because it can make the difference between you getting hit or not. Its game are quite fragile, so it's quite important. Same goes for your henchmen. They maybe can't get spells rank 2, but still their stat line is quite important in much of the cases. For example, my Stormvermin, or Warp Guard as they called, they could be played more agile, but do I want to play them more agile? They have 15 toughness, and as you can see, I'm playing them with heavy armor, so I'm just going to get them strength and heavy armor, and strength and toughness, so they can be my big tanky frontline that can soak up the enemy charge, while my heroes sneak around and attack from behind. They also have quite a good weapon skill, so making them a parry unit is actually not a bad idea. This one is still level 0, so it doesn't have really high parry chance, but if you take a look at him, he already has almost 40% parry, and I can give him some skills to put it even higher. Flash parry will give me 10%, and if I give him a shield, it's another 5%, and more melee resistance. There's also another spell here, which also will give me more parry, so you can push this quite high. Also, I can support his tanky skill with Hardy, which gives him also more resistances, which is also nice. You sometimes will have to adapt on the fly. As you saw in my let's play, one of my Skaven got wounded and can now, if I can bring it up, no longer use range weapons, which means I kind of have to play him as a melee now, which isn't terrible because I didn't put points in the ballistic skill early anyway. But now I'm just going to play him as a dagger hero, which is also possible. He has Art of Silent Death, and I'm going to give him some more skills to support his trait. For example, this increase the critical hand chance of a charge attack. So if I give him Swift Charge, with this and with daggers, he will have quite the high crit chance. And maybe he will be able to stun that nasty hero that is just tearing apart your front line. So as you can see, there are a lot of things to consider with your heroes right from the get-go. So think about where you want to put your skill points. It's really quite important. The second thing I want to talk about in this video is your equipment. How you should equip your warriors, because that can be really important. For example, if I take a look at my leader, he has a Beaver Amulet, which doesn't really do much, but gives me a bit more magic resist. Nothing too important, but I can enchant it, so it's quite nice. Especially because I don't really have anything right now. I could give him a helmet, which gives me a bit more stun resistance and armor absorption, but I prefer this for now. He had clothing, because it gives me more dodge chance. Now I could give him light armor, but this is an example of where you have to pick and choose what you want to do. For example, I know my main defense on my leader here is his dodge chance. If at all possible, he shouldn't get hit at all, simply because he does not have that much health, and the 10% armor absorption, in my opinion, won't really change that. But if his dodge chance is really high, he won't get hit, especially if he gets sidestep rank 2. He can dodge 3 times. If I get this up to over 90%, it's quite unlikely that he's going to get hit. So the clothing really works well with the way I want to play this warrior. Another example, his weapon. I gave him fighting claws. Why? Well, for one, they have armor absorption, so essentially they pierce armor and give me a bit more damage. And they work with my skill, my Art of Silent Death, which gives me 5% more crit when using daggers or fighting claws. In this case, the fighting claws. And he has a secondary weapon, Warblock pistol, just because if I need to do him some range damage, for example, if I don't want to fight in the melee, I have a advantage, or for example, if I have the enemy blocked out of a house. One of my tanks is standing at the door, they can't get in. This way, I can still fight them from inside. I can shoot them from windows and do some damage while they are blocked. If I look at a different warrior now, I have one of my tanks, one of my warp guards. He has a helmet and heavy armor, which are a must-have on him, because armor absorption, which is really, really important on these guys, because their parry stance isn't that high early game. They will get hit, but this way they won't take much damage. Now, a shield and a one-hand weapon is nice to have on these guys, especially because more melee resistance and more parry chance on the shield, which gives me quite a bit more defense. But if I have a look at his offensive points, he has only 4. Means he can attack twice with the one-hand weapon, which could do a bit more damage. But especially with a halberd, if I charge, I will certainly do more damage than the one-hander would. So this case is really a picking and choosing of your weapons. I will usually let them fight with the two-handed weapon at the beginning of the mission, simply because if they get into combat first, they can charge in, hit with the two-hander, do a lot of damage, and if they're getting hit back, I can still switch weapons and have the defense that the shield and the one-hander provides. Some others are a bit more special. For example, the Shanks here. Shanks also has the Art of Silent Death, so I gave him 2 daggers, simply because it increases my crit chance. And he would carry shurikens, but yeah, he has been hit a bit on the head, so he can't really use those. So look here, he can't use ranged weapons, so yeah. Same goes for the other light red. He has auto closing because 50% dodge is not that terrible, it will get much higher. He has his shurikens and one of them, the shield, just for a bit more defense. I hope you could see that you can let your equipment and your skills sometimes work together quite nicely, and just make up how do you want to play your warrior with your equipment. There's no point in giving heavy armor to a dude that should primarily be dodging. Also, there is no real point in giving someone who is reliant on parry and actually being hit to give him only clothing. Select your armor and your weapons carefully to suit your warrior, and do what he is supposed to do. Now that I have talked about the 2 big things that you should worry about in forms of your skills and your equipment, there are still a few little tips I want to give you to get your warband more successful in Mordheim. One of those is something you can actually see here. Have a few backup warriors. Now, if you play Mordheim, some of your warriors will get wounded. It's pretty much inevitable. It will happen at some point, unless you're playing absolutely perfectly and you are really lucky with your RNG. But you won't be always. There will be missions where you just can't do anything about it, where you just miss your 90% hits 3 times in a row and the enemy hits you even though you have a 75% parry chance up. It will happen. The city can be quite cruel. And yeah, it was for me. He got double crit. He got double crit last mission. Otherwise he would be fine. So it's quite important thing, I think. If you look here, how many reserve pledges you have. You can have a lot of reserve warriors, which you can level separately. And just switch in and out for the rest of your warband. If someone gets wounded, or if you just want to get 3 levels on another guy. If one of your warriors is already max level, you can maybe just switch him out for someone else who is already level 5 or 6 at this point. And level him up. Simply because, especially late game, if one of your level 10 heroes gets crippled, it can be devastating for a warband, especially if it's your leader. If you leveled everything up to level 10, then your leader dies. Your warband is practically fucked. You could recruit, maybe, if you're lucky, a level 7 leader, if you got really high rank on your warband. Just straight up recruit a level 7 leader, but still, he will still lack most of the points your old leader had. So he's still be weaker. But, for example, with this game, I can't do it now, but I can recruit a mage later, which can get a skill that allows him to be my leader. So if I level up a mage as another hero, just separately give him a few levels here and there, maybe get him up to like 5 or 6. If my leader then gets crippled or is wounded for quite a while, I can just switch the mage in. Same goes for my henchmen, because there are 5 of them. I will always have like 2 reserve henchmen, 1 light and 1 heavy. Simply because if I want to swap someone out, or if I simply want to change my composition. If I got the feeling last mission it didn't really work out with Shanks, he didn't do what he was supposed to do, he didn't do any damage, he wasn't really able to perform against the Sisters of Sigmar last mission, and I really would have liked another tank red. I could either recruit a completely new guy, rank 0, who would be quite useless, especially if everybody else is already leveled up a bit, or I could already have someone in reserve who got a few levels, with equipment, and already got a few skills I want. Having a backup can be quite vital, especially for your leader. Like I said, with this game I have the special option of getting another leader. If I want to, I can level up a mage, give him the talent, and then he can be my leader for a turn if I need, because my leader is wounded or is just getting skill points. But same goes for your heroes. If someone gets wounded, it's really bad just going to the next mission with 1 guy less, or even worse, waiting a few turns just because someone is wounded. Maybe you can spend that time with scaling up someone, but if you just, for example, just spend all your skill points and then someone gets wounded, this can be quite a setback and lead to be a bit short on your warp zone, which is the next thing I want to talk about. Not a big thing, but you should always be keeping ahead of your shipment. It's really important. Your warband can actually fail and be essentially dead if you fail your shipment 3 times. I think the first time nothing happens, the second time someone will get wounded for 10 days, which is practically forever, and the time after that you fail, your warband will simply die. This is your timer. You need to fulfill your missions. So always keep ahead of your missions. It's really important. And it allows you to make a lot more money. If you send your shipment off early, like I did here, I think I should still have like 5 or 6 days left where I simply have no shipment even requested. After that I will have another like 14 days time to deliver my shipment, which is more than enough time. But this is also where you make most of your money. If you are always just scrambling about getting your shipment done, then you will never have the time to just send off to the other factions to get your money and your reputation up. If for example here I get 10 plus 10% gold reputation and 50% more gold for my warpstone. So always try to get your shipments in time so you can just really spend your warpstone on other factions. And the last thing I want to talk about for these little things is not the big thing, especially not for beginners because you won't have them, but for the veterans under you. Don't forget your veteran points, they can be really important. Like the amount of money you can save with Alone Healer and Commander, which are the ones I would recommend for anyone who doesn't have a lot of veteran points, is really good. Another with Negotiator, 3 additional days is quite good. I'm running Librarian right now because I'm still missing a few of the achievements for the enchants, so I'm trying to get that done. And just a bit more money saving in Merchant. And there is one last thing I want to talk about, which I can't do on this Warband, but it's a quite big thing. Literally. Big thing. And that big thing, of course, is your Impressive, which you can get at level 5 with the Warband, which is why I just created the level 5 Warband. I have not played this, they're all level 0, I just created it to show off your Impressive. Now, impressive are an interesting topic. They are obviously really good. Like, look at the stat line. 20 strength, 20 toughness. That's impressive. I mean, it's a fucking ogre, but still, that's impressive. They can be really impactful. They can do a ton of damage. Really tanky. And depending on what you have, for example, if you have the Chaos Spawn from the Chaos Warband, extremely fast and dodgy. Now, I think some of the impressives are better than others. I think, for example, the Ogre is one of the best impressives. He is really tough. He does so much damage if you max him out to get him leveled up. And he doesn't really have to worry about defense simply because 20 toughness and that hit points. But there is something you should keep in mind when you bring an impressive. He takes up 2 hero slots, so I could either bring another champion and warlock or the ogre. Now, in this example, for the Empire, I would most time bring the ogre, because the ogre is really good. Especially, he is good at low levels. And that's the important part about impressives. You have to actually level them up sometimes to be good. A big example of that would be the Red Ogre of the Skavens. The Red Ogre is not that good early game. He is not that strong level 0. He does not have a lot of hit points. His agility is quite good, his dodge is not bad, but he also is stupid. The Red Ogre is always stupid. You need to give him guidance, or he needs to pass an intelligence test, which obviously he won't pass a lot of times because he is not intelligent. All the impressives have a drawback. Besides the ogre. I think the ogre is just really good. But most other impressive have a drawback. The biggest one, obviously, like I said, you can only take the ogre or 2 heroes. The Red Ogre is stupid. The Chaos Spawn will die really quickly. If he gets beaten down, he will most likely just disappear. The Red Ogre is stupid. And some of the others impressives are just not that good, I think. The Vampire one, the Witch Hunter one are not that great. They can do a lot of damage, but they are not as good as 2 other heroes would be. As I said, in the case of the Empire, for example, I would take the Ogre. But now I need to keep in mind, if I bring an impressive, your enemies on the campaign map will always bring an impressive as well. And you have to ask yourself the questions. Will you be able to deal with the enemy impressive, which could potentially be a lot higher level than yours? Simply because how the game works. The value of your warband will be determined on the points your warband is worth. In this case, this warband has 884 points spent. So the enemy warband will be built similarly. But if I would have leveled this warband up, they would all be around level 5 or 6, maybe someone a bit lower because they are new with the warband, but the impressive will be level 0. The enemy impressive could be a quite high level. The others could be lower than that, but still, a level 5 ogre could just murder your level 5 henchmen. You would just 2-shot them. So you need to keep that in mind. Can you deal with an enemy impressive? If not, you maybe should not bring yours. Maybe you should wait a while until you can recruit a higher level one. In this case I can't because I'm not that high rank, but level 7 I think you get higher level impressives. Or do you only bring him to normal missions? Not too hard ones, certainly not to story missions. That's something you need to keep in mind. Also, on that note, don't do the story missions when they first turn up. Really, don't do them, because that's another mission where the enemy will have an impressive. And if you walk into that mission with your level 2 and 3 Skavens, you will get butchered. Maybe you can beat it, but you will take heavy casualties doing so. So, don't do them until you have a full warband. And later ones, just wait until you're maxed out, because that library will fuck you up. But that has been most of the things I wanted to talk about. If there's anything else I could add to this, I will maybe do a second little video to fill up the gaps. But until then, if you have anything to say I could improve on, please post it down below. But
think that was it. So, have a nice day.